Hello and welcome back to 709 Meridian, an audio commentary podcast. We are your hosts, Dee and Andrew.
Hello.
And here we are finally in our, flop season.
I mean, last season was kind of a.
Yeah, last season was kind of so this time around we're covering some of the flops of some of our best performers. And who not to start off with, but one of the biggest. That's Mr.
Damn.
Eddie Murphy. We do not mean that in any way in a David Spadish manner at
No,
all.
just.
Nothing but the utmost respect for Mr. Murphy. Please don't send your entourage after us.
Oh.
But even he admitted that our first entry here is just fuck it. He saw the check, and there's going to be a lot of that in this movie where people may have just done it for the check. Today's movie is 1983's Best Defense.
84.
84? Oh, it's 84.
Yeah, I think 83 is. What's the one with Gregory Hines and Sigourney Weaver?
Okay. Yeah, that was Deal of the Century.
Still of the Century. I feel like those two, I always get these two convinced because that one, I think Gregory Hines felt like he was added on, and this one, Eddie's tacked on, like literally. So I just watched this last night, so I can actually say we'll have plenty of time to talk about the trivia once it's going. There won't be a lot of other things for us to talk about. I mean, there will be, but not.
Well, we could just go on ahead and let's get the going because this
Alrighty.
counter off.
All right. Here we go. Starting in 3, 2, 1. Play. The Paramount logo. I was like, remember how happy we used to be when we'd see these for a while? And then
Yeah. It was that, or it meant it was a Friday 13th trailer.
right. 80s were weird that way, right? Paramount was that. It was Star Trek, but it was
Star Trek.
also like many of the comedies. Like, okay, so we'll just get it out of the way real quick. This film does involve Iraq invading Kuwait many years before they did.
Wow.
Here we're going to have Eddie. Okay. All right. This is model actress Tracy Ross as belly dancer / Arab girl, I believe she's credited as, but he refers to her as his belly dancer. So the story is, and there's not a lot of trivia on this, which is absolutely hilarious.
Yeah, because it's a slap together movie.
But it's just like, it's kind of like what's the other one that we were talking about that is like this? Smokey and the Bandit 3, where clearly there's a story to it, but we don't know what it is. And nobody's like written about it enough that it's made it to Wikipedia. Yeah. And
not there.
It was never there type shit, right? Like, and the 80s is full of stuff like that, where there'd be like one.
Because without the Eddie stuff, this really is just another Dudley Moore comedy.
Well, it's a Dudley Moore comedy, but it's like if Dudley Moore was Arthur, but Arthur wasn't lovable or rich. Like,
he, in a way, Michael J. Fox sort of took up Dudley Moore's.
He sort of did, right? Michael J. Fox wasn't willing to do the height humor.
No.
But like, because Dudley Moore, I mean,
yeah,
shit,
they
man.
really.
We can watch. There's a whole sequence in this where I think all of it is okay. Also, this is one of the movies that Eddie made. Okay, so how to say this nicely?
This is pre Beverly Hills Cop.
It's pretty Beverly Hills Cop. It is. Eddie's the only black guy in the movie, I think, right? Like, I don't think
Hmm.
there are no others in the army that we see that have significant lines. And there won't be any black people in LA in this movie. It's one of those LA movies. But so the story is they made this movie with Dudley Moore adapting some novel. Um,
Yeah.
and it tested so poorly that they were willing to pay Eddie to do it. Um, they did film a scene with it, but it's set 2 years later, which I can't remember if we talked about that on the show um, last time, but strategic guest star,
Strategic guest
meaning
star.
when the fucking the test audience was too pissed off, they put in another Eddie scene. Um, but this is written and directed, or it's written by Willard Hike and Gloria Katz, and directed by Hike, who,
Oh,
um,
yeah, who ruined his career later on.
I mean, near as I can tell, if you were following his career, it was on this trajectory from here. Like,
Yeah.
so he and Gloria Katz wrote American Graffiti,
Uh,
um, which sort of, and I think they were friends of Lucas.
yeah, that's what it was.
They
That was
co
their end.
they co-wrote. They have a co-writing credit on Indiana Jones. There's an Indiana Jones reference in this, which makes you think that Kate Capshaw knew she'd been cast or something. Um, and so it's it's a fucking bewildering, just like the Dudley Moore movies, obviously terrible, right? But the
Yeah,
Dudley Moore movies wasn't a good idea to begin with. Like, we'll get to it
no.
when we get there. But this is the sort of level of humor that this is the same vibes as the Dudley Moore. It's just they don't have background players. It's
Mm.
very weird. And the Eddie stuff, they must have begged him to ad lib some of the stuff, but like,
Oh yeah, Eddie is basically Bugs Bunny in this. You know,
and
they
his
make
story,
fun of that in one of the Daffy Duck cartoons, where it's supposed to be starring Daffy, but Bugs comes in and like
takes over.
right does nothing. And everybody says, "Oh." That's what this is.
Okay, so returning to the podcast, we have the guy from Mannequin in the second
Oh yeah,
time that I think I can remember him. There are other black guys around. They just don't have names, but they're in the
right.
shot.
They're just
Okay.
there.
So the other guy in the tank is Matthew Lawrence or somebody, the guy who was the lead on
Oh,
Duet. And
right.
so he was either on his way or he was there. As we might have mentioned last week, here is Kate Capshaw playing. Let's bring up the age difference here. She's not a child. She was
But it's his out of his league wife.
19 years older than
Mm.
him. She's 19 years older. So she has a very thankless part in this,
This
which
was
we
all she did. Like she would, if it weren't her, it probably would have been Dee Wallace because that's all they did back then. The wife, the mom, the pissed off girlfriend.
Okay. I don't know if this general who's speaking now is in the end of the A plot. or the Dudley Moore plot. We'll have to see if we care enough to try to remember. Probably not, but I'll just point out the idea of the movie is that Dudley Moore designs this tank and it's a piece of shit, and Eddie
Mm-hmm.
Murphy has to ride in it years later. The problem
Yeah.
is Dudley Moore has nothing to do with all this shit that's falling apart.
No,
And
because
so, yeah,
we find out later, right? They take his schematic, but they shoddily build them or something,
nope, it's not even that. The
or
one
they
thing,
something. Yeah, something about it just that doesn't.
yeah, don't,
There's a piece.
there's a piece, yes, just don't try to remember because you'll just be upset as you wait for it to happen. Um, which is most of this film, actually, having just seen it. So Dudley Moore. So we think Kate Capshaw is being coded as a nagging wife, but it turns out that Dudley Moore is a slack ass in the defense industry.
Mm-hmm.
He's some guy who just keeps moving from defense contractor to defense contractor, doing shitty work at bad companies. And it's
Yeah.
never his fault exactly, but they're going to blame him in this opening
Mm-hmm.
scene before we get there. But it's just very weird. Um, but yeah, so the tank's going to go bananas and none of it matters. And what should have happened, and they said they cut a scene with Eddie and Dudley Moore, which is wild to think about, right? Like
Yeah,
you
because
do
it
the
should have been
one,
in there.
yeah, you do the one fucking thing and then you don't do it. But like if there had been some like punchline about the whole tank
Right.
being poorly
Yeah, because the movie
developed.
just, from what I remember, the movie just finishes. It doesn't really end.
No, yeah, it just stops. It doesn't, yeah, well, but because it starts going to shit right now, and like the joysticks are going to come off, and it's never clear. They're like not connected to anything, which is concerning. Or it's got a phone wire in there, I guess.
Oh,
Yeah,
that is what's his name?
yeah, totally.
Lawrence.
Yep.
He has a twin brother, actually.
Really, I knew that. Why did I know that?
Yeah, Mitchell and Matthew Lawrence.
Right.
There's your
So,
trailer bit.
yep. So no,
Eddie Murphy.
I thought this was about like Eddie Murphy and Dudley Moore doing Apollo 13 or something. I didn't
Mm-mm.
realize that it was just these two things cut together. Then I didn't realize that it was going to be intercut to sort of keep the audience vaguely interested in Eddie.
Right. I think we saw it. I saw this in the theaters. Maybe not even a first run. Probably at the Adelphi.
So everybody at work blames him,
Yeah.
but it's not, we will see, he has absolutely nothing to do with the eventual, that we're going
Mm-hmm.
into a test here. We're not going to do anything with it.
You think maybe what Blake Edwards threw this out?
I can't, I mean, so here's the thing
Because
about Dudley Moore.
yeah, he was on a roll at this point.
Yeah, but he was making like 3 movies a year. Like,
Yeah.
and that was, I mean, he was on a roll, but clearly, and I didn't look up what happened to Dudley Moore, but like he was ended up having to crash on people's houses, and I don't
Mm.
know, or couches. I don't know. I don't know if there was any mental health issues or if he just like fucked up his money situation.
Mm.
I would imagine doing movies like this, you were fucking up your money situation. But he's either perfect in a movie or he's completely and utterly miscast, and you never want to think about the movie again. Like,
I
This is one
mean,
of the latter.
early '80s Dudley Moore. You couldn't not see him, especially after Arthur. Like,
So much stuff after Arthur. I mean, he did 6 weeks, which
oh
I
yeah,
haven't seen. The one with the dumb
oh,
kid.
I
Romances.
saw that when I was a kid, and I was like, I'll never watch this movie again.
Um, did you want to talk about age difference? He did one with Elizabeth McGovern. That would have had a 35-year age difference. She would have been
Jeez.
about 23. So
Mm.
27, 30-year age difference. Um, but that's lovely. It's a lovely little gentle romance and shit, like with like soft shots of Central
See, they were
Park
doing
and
shit like that with him, and he was just,
yeah, and he was fucking Dudley Moore, right? Like, and I mean, yeah. And then
and it
there's a
was
bunch of
what,
other stuff in
yeah,
the
Mickey and Maude. I remember being on all the damn time. Mickey and Maude, and there was another one.
I mean, his sort of reckoning was Santa Claus the movie, but
Santa
again,
Claus.
he was on that trajectory. This
It was so weird.
still haven't seen it as far as I know.
Oh
Still
god,
haven't seen it.
how do you
Just
do it? Santa Claus movie, and it's one of the worst movies of Christmas.
okay. So we're gonna have some interesting co-stars here. So that is
Oh
Peter
yeah,
Michael Goetz, who we've already had on the pod on the King Kong Lives episode. He was asshole father-in-law and father of the bride. He wasn't he an asshole dad on 90210 or something? But he was
it might have
basically
been.
just an asshole in everything. In this, he's a goof, which is interesting. Oh wow, he was on After MASH. Interesting. Tom Noonan's going to show up in a very Tom
Oh yeah,
Noonan bit. David Rashi, who, however you pronounce his name, who would do
Sledgehammer,
Sledgehammer, is an absolute delight in this. So we'll get to that. He's about the only thing.
and this is
Um,
who's who's headlights here? Because she's
this is Helen Shaver. Now, I'm sorry,
okay.
we will discuss her and George Dunzia as it becomes pertinent, but basically, as we will see here, this entire movie that we didn't get made before Eddie is about these two men lusting after Helen Shaver and talking dirty to each other about her. That's the movie. That's what's happening right now that I'm talking over. And Helen Shaver would go on to do another film with Hike and Katz, which is fucking wild. I'm like,
Is that?
that's
Hold on,
David
David Paymer,
Paymer.
right?
Yeah.
That's the part he always played
Yep.
up until they finally noticed him.
Like 94 or something. Like
Yeah,
so long.
his tech number three.
So again, who is this fucking movie for? Like, okay, so there's
Right.
I think her name's Carol, one of the nurses from ER's in this.
Uh,
At some point, she'll be hot for Dudley Moore too. I think everybody in the movie gets hot for Dudley Moore except Kate Capshaw
uh,
and Tracy Ross because they're not in the same things. Um, so yeah, and you had mentioned Weird Science, not Weird Science, Real Genius.
yeah.
Just sort of, yeah, in the early to mid 80s, we did a lot of we stopped
Well,
trying to do sci-fi without Lucas, but we did a lot of
the thing though with Real Genius is that the spin on that is that at least it tried to aim towards a younger audience. This here, this is a hard R because they had to make it for adults, and none of it meshes together at all.
no, it's a
It's a bad sitcom pilot.
right, and it's like, and you don't want to watch this show. Like, it's
No.
a bad sitcom pilot for a show you don't want to watch. George Dunzia would go on to another tank film, The Beast, quite good. Um,
This is something that could have just sat on the shelf.
right, we deleted Batgirl, but we can't delete this. Like, come on now. This is what the 80s is sort of full of, though, and we've kind of mentioned it before. And I mean, every era of film is sort of full of that, but in the sort of new star paradigm, which is, of course, crumbled and broken, but still
Yeah.
remembered now. Um, there's just tons of this, and this was kind of over by the late 90s. You once you had, I won't say once you had Whoopi Goldberg doing direct to video. I would actually say once you had McCarthy, once you had like Helen
Mm,
Hunt going direct to video for original presentations and shit,
mm.
you just people weren't willing to, the star dynamic changed. And Dudley Moore took a fucking ride with it if you think about it, because he fucking went from being this guy lasting longer than Travolta did as
Yeah.
a fucking leading man.
That's just what I was about to say. It was like Travolta took that dip like right after what was it, Urban Cowboy or something?
This first dip, yeah, and then he had
Yeah.
another one, like, because Travolta just can't. I don't know what it is. He's had a handful of great performances, and then a handful of likable ones, and then everything else he's made in the last 15 years, and it's been
Yeah. He crashed out.
crap. I mean, and it's so weird because like all of those guys who end up with Millennium Films, it's so like that ties them all together. It's just like at some point they just realize they want the money so fucking bad. Like Val ended up with them, De Niro, Pacino, Bruce
Yeesh.
Willis. We don't even know when Bruce Willis made started not being able to make choices, but like she like it's just like, and they like sell the movies to fucking like Russia and shit. It's so funny. But Dudley Moore never had that. Dudley Moore sort of did, he tried doing another lead. He did Crazy People in like 90 or early 90s, and that was
But
like,
he was also aging out because it just he
you
couldn't
know,
do it wasn't like Woody Allen just writes himself into shit. Dudley Moore was aging out and younger people were, you know, going to see movies. That's why he did the one with Kirk Cameron. Remember that shit?
fuck,
The
dude,
body
that was
swap?
only like in 88. That's right. You
Yeah.
are so correct. Okay, here
So
we
he was
go.
still trying to hang on to it, but
I brought it
it
up
couldn't.
here. Okay. Okay, 10 was 79. 10 was sort of the first. And now we got
That
to
was the big
remember
one.
he's been kicking around in the UK since
The 60s.
65-ish, right? Okay.
He also had the part in People Fell for Him and Foul Play.
Yeah, Foul Play was a big one. Then 10 was like leading man. Then
hmm
Arthur was the huge breakthrough. He had a fucking TV special. Good God.
Damn. Really?
Yep. He's on Night of a Thousand Stars. Um,
He had to been on something with the Muppets, right?
he was, but later. He didn't do that for a while. 82, he does 6 weeks. That's the sad one with Mary Tyler Moore, where Mary Tyler
Hmm.
Moore is age appropriate, so I'm sure he doesn't end up with her at the end. Um, Lovesick, where he is 26 years older than Elizabeth McGovern. That's 83. Romantic comedy, that's the Mary Steenburgen one. He's
Mm.
18 years older than her. 84 was his big year. He had this, which was supposed to be out in 82 or 83,
Mm.
which explains why he didn't do two in 82. He had Unfaithfully Yours, which is the remake
That's the other one.
of um it's a remake. I can't remember who fucking did the original. Preston Sturgis, I think.
Mm.
Um, Written by Barry Levinson, Valerie Curtin, and Robert Klein are the auteur behind Weekend at Bernays. Um, and that was a fucking bomb. And people were like, "Why'd you remake this, Dudley Moore?" And that was also the one where it was like about like him being jealous of Armand Desante and like
Hmm.
it being way too obvious with Natasha Kinski too young for both of them.
Way
Then
too
he
young.
then he does Mickey and Maude. That was another Blake Edwards. Now,
Hmm.
funny thing about Blake Edwards is was 10 the last Blake Edwards movie that anybody ever admitted liking again?
People
Victor
know
Victoria.
because the dark horse is Skin Deep,
Yes, that's right. Skin Deep got like a
and
re-examination.
that was supposed to be the it for John Ritter because he
Mhm.
was good in that, but it was clearly a style to be a Dudley Moore, Blake Edwards type thing, just like the Woman in Red.
I still don't think I've seen that. Okay, so he did do a Muppets. I was wrong. He did that in 81. The Muppets Go to the Movies. Well, that sounds fun. Lily Tomlin and Dudley Moore do it, and the Muppets do a tribute to classic film. Okay. Um, but
How
yes,
did I
then
know that though?
okay, here we go. Night because he did another one, I think. He did a Miss Piggy special, Miss Piggy's
Oh boy.
Hollywood in
Mm.
89. Oh God, with fucking Bob Hope. Okay. So 85 is fucking Santa Claus, and this that was sort of the end of him
Yeah,
for a
because
second.
he was already on the way out when he did the sitcom
The sitcom was 90s
90
actually.
something, right? Yeah.
First we have to do Milo Notice. He does the voice for. Then he does Like Father Like Son. 88 is Arthur 2. 88 is when he's given
Oh,
up and he's in the fucking Warner sequel desperation year. It's the year for Arthur 2 and Caddyshack 2. Okay.
oh,
Crazy People's like the comeback in 90 doesn't happen. Blame It on the Bellboy. He's like a bit part, or he's top billed, but I don't remember him having a lot to do. Then he's got the sitcom that only aired five fucking episodes.
damn.
And then he was in some fucking, is this some TV movie called Parallel Live? Oh, I've heard of this. It's the one with one of the fucking sorry everyone. It's a one of the big chill type things. Does another sitcom in 94 that only airs three episodes.
Eesh.
Does an animated series. Does a Weekend in the Country. What a weird fucking looking movie this is. Rita Rudner movie with
Yikes.
Richard Lewis. Okay. He was the voice of Carl Denham in The Mighty Kong. I vaguely remember that.
Well, that's the kiddie musical Kong,
Yeah.
I think.
And then he died.
Yeah.
And he died. And he was sleeping on somebody's couch when he died.
Mm.
So it's like he's this guy in real life. Okay, so basically what has happened now while I have been talking instead of watching this fine film is
I think he was sick towards the end, though, right?
she was just humming the Indiana Jones theme. Let's look. As this may be our last Dudley Moore movie for a while. Where the fuck's Eddie, by the way? Okay.
Right. This is about the time where people are just getting loud with the popcorn and shit.
Yeah, he started in 60 in the UK.
Uh,
Did have a restaurant that failed. Whoa!
mm,
Oh, damn, no. Holy fuck.
mm,
See if you look that up. 97, he had calcium deposits in his brain, which can't be ever good, and
mm.
irreversible frontal lobe damage. He also had bypass surgery and 4 strokes.
Damn.
He was um, diagnosed with something that is a Parkinson plus syndrome, plus meaning it's worse.
Mm,
Some early symptoms being so similar to intoxication that he had been reported as being a drunk.
mm.
Um, he would eventually need a wheelchair, and he died because of a pneumonia. So, really shitty ending. There were a lot of people who had like really shitty endings around then too. Um, so this is also so this is 84. It was probably mostly made in 82. Again, we don't exactly know because there's not good trivia on it, but it does very much have that like just that early 80s vibe, like that Mr. Mommy vibe where things kind of felt
Yeah,
like a sitcom. Like basically
well,
things were like R-rated sitcoms.
yeah,
Is that the Magnum PI helicopter though?
might be.
Okay.
The hell?
Yeah. So mom is outside or wife is outside in the car that he's upset they got.
Oh,
Now dude's dead.
that was Tom Noonan.
Yep.
Oh God, those old school TVs.
Mhm. Did you catch the remote? Giant clicker that Duncia has? Yeah.
Damn.
Oh. Okay, so now they're gonna keep the disc because the disc we didn't talk about. Hey, they haven't ruled out foul play. You should have looked dead into the camera. Um, Chevy Chase's career burnout's another interesting discussion. Uh,
Well, he was his own worst enemy
yeah,
with
I
that
was
shit.
gonna say, like, would he have burned out if he had just not been Chevy Chase?
Yeah.
But yeah, so this is a very light early 80s comedy. And Eddie helped break that like Beverly Hills Cop really helped break that away, right? Like Beverly Hills Cop led to the
Yeah.
action comedy, which led to the comedy action picture, right? Like,
Mm-hmm. Because this is just, I mean, you just don't understand it. Why it's,
well, what's incredible too is that like, so they didn't just re-edit or they didn't just throw. There wasn't room in this movie for Eddie Murphy, as when written. The opening scene was not about Eddie Murphy being a love god and Dudley Moore um, being not. It was originally just about Dudley Moore not getting
yeah,
it
just,
on with a Capshaw. Like, what the fuck was that?
whoa.
Yes, this.
Wow.
Yeah, this is just a.
Gee.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, see, shit that would never happen in a movie now.
Don't
Not at
worry,
all.
don't worry. She's flattered. I wonder if Helen Shaver thought Dudley Moore or Fred Ward was a.
Yeesh.
Okay, enter David Rash. All right, so we have 59 minutes left. I don't know how long David Rash lasts in the movie. I can't, despite having seen it recently. He's just very sure that he's going to get this is going to be a good showcase for him. He's willing to go all the way. And Tom Noonan said he's a KGB agent, and Dudley Moore saw Tom Noonan taking him away in kidnapping Tom Noonan, but Dudley Moore wasn't scared or something. Didn't think that was
He just kind
weird.
of bumbled away.
Okay, so back we are to the future because it's actually been the first act of the fucking movie since we've seen Eddie. And what do
Oh
we
yeah, here they
have?
are,
Yep.
just rolling through shit.
So they keep talking about the navigation system failing. Um, but that's not what they're talking about in the rest of it. So it's just kind of like, well, this isn't this isn't the worst idea for trying to save this story. It doesn't
Well,
work. One of the levels it doesn't work on is because the Dudley Moore movie's so bad. But like I can see like if you're making a movie about designing a tank, seeing the tank in action someday could be a good juxtaposition, let's say. But it has nothing to do like it's just
no, it doesn't come together at all. It just isn't. It's two different movies. Ultimately, it's
it's
not
yeah,
even.
and Eddie's isn't even a movie is the problem.
No, it's a skit.
Right. It's a really fucking
This is some shit you put in between
oh man.
stand-up bits or something.
Oh
All you need is Joe Piscopo in here somewhere.
oh shit.
Yeah, he could have been one of those guys. Yeah, Eddie ad libbing and shit.
Oh, let's go back to the past. Okay, so this kicks off the sort of like a practically real time sort of, I don't know what you call it, espionage
uh,
spoof or something. And everybody pay attention to the singers of the Carpenter song because they thought they were really cute. Every different location in this hotel has a different lounge singer singing the Carpenters in a different language, which is would potentially be funny if we were watching Gremlins 2, but we're not. Also, George Dunzia is going to be carrying this food around the entire, like, kind of rest of the movie because
oh,
they don't leave this place. They're in this hotel the rest of the movie.
oh God.
This doofus here. Wait, no, they're not. Oh God, there's the third act. Oh God. Um, but yeah, what's weird is somebody was like, hey, you know what would be really good is if we had a really intricate fucking espionage, spy versus spy with humor for 45 minutes, but then not for the last 15.
Uh,
And it does feel like a different movie because the Dunzia, when I say he's going to have his food with him, he's going to be carrying his plate around like on the roof like that. Like it's very, it's, there's more gags to it than,
try hard.
yeah, it's just very, but also we've never seen that guy before who's doing all the work for him. He's going to be a major part of even the third act,
Oh,
whereas Dunzee is going to disappear, presumably because something happens to him in the cut footage or something. Like, so here we have the French version of Close to You.
is
Hey,
that
this is a
Debbie
real
Harry?
movie. It's a little like Debbie Harry. We can check. All right. So here's where, God, I wonder how bad the other version of this is.
It's probably super long.
Because you got to realize all the shit that they left. This is the stuff that's the best.
Yeah.
So they're not speaking in innuendos because Helen Shaver is hot for Dudley Moore's bod.
Yeesh.
And here we will kick off our next 40 minutes.
Yeah, people couldn't stand for this no more.
Now, this would be one of those things that like would be in some, this is like if Due Date had been a hit and they got Robert Downey Jr. to do another one. This is like one of those things somebody would do and then get pissed off when people are like, wait, why are people mad? Like, what are you talking about? No, you're missing out. It's okay though. But near as we can tell, this will be the end of their marriage here.
Uh, wait a minute.
Yeah.
Their house, though. What?
They just got a new house
Oh,
and she's unpacking it, which is only in dialogue, which is a weird thing. Because presumably they wouldn't have reshot that, right? So that was just how they did it in the first place. God, it must have been a really fucking bad movie.
yeah.
Well, I haven't made it through. This is the first Willard Hike movie I've made it through in decades because the last time I tried to watch Howard the Duck, I didn't make it through. The last time I tried to watch Radioland Murders, I didn't make it through.
Oh,
And I
wow, that's
still,
one I've yet to sit through that one.
like,
Yeah, Howard the Duck is a chore. I do recall trying to watch that at one point recently.
yeah, that's
It's
just the
not
thing.
it's not Garbage Pail Kids bad, but I I do this with Howard the Duck. Howard the Duck flopped, it failed, whatever. But a few years later, people were lining up around the block to go see a movie where a bunch of dudes are dressed up in turtle costumes. So, you know, it is what it is.
I mean, Lucas was never all that with the animatronics. Jabba's enormous,
It's a
right?
big puppet, though.
It's a
Yeah,
big puppet. Howard the Duck was not Henson. Howard the Duck was who was
yeah.
Howard the
Howard the
Duck?
Duck was ILM, right?
Right, but like that was the type of shit they would have had Henson do 5 years earlier in or at least somebody or at least Frank Oz in on it.
Because like Henson did some crazy shit in Labyrinth alone. Well, here we go again.
Yep.
Mm.
Sorry, I'm reading about Howard the
This is
Duck real quick. Um
only in the 80s. The shit.
Lots of Rash's dialogue seems to be Luke too, which is interesting.
Yeah.
Uh, so, well, I mean, I guess it's not considering how much work they had to do, or how much reshooting they did. Okay, so yes, ILM did the special effects. I mean, could Henson have actually pulled off a good Howard?
Well, the animatronics would have been better.
Why wouldn't? Why wouldn't you have tried it as a puppet? Like
Because he
to
needed to be active. Like
okay,
you'd have to do like Alf, and
okay,
they said Alf was a nightmare because you have to have the set raised,
right.
and that's expensive as shit for a movie. You know,
Okay, so he's not exactly a KGB guy. He sort of is. it'll come out. I'm sure in the other version there's something else going on. In this version, he's basically like a foreign agent. He basically buys secrets from U.S. industry and sells them to Russia, which actually is funny because that's actually an official job in the U.S. government now.
Mm.
But this is the first time I think I've ever seen Rash in anything, and I mean, other than like a cameo in something. But like, I mean, some of it doesn't age well, but like, it's a lot better than Joe Piscopo. Like,
No, no, that's exactly what I was about to say. Because this is something. If Piscopo knew Eddie was attached to it, at a certain point, he would have tried to get in there somehow. Luckily, Eddie was an afterthought with this one.
yeah,
Rash, he never he never really played it straight, did he?
I don't think so.
Did he always do comedy?
I mean, the thing I saw him a cameo in is he's like a senator in Flags of Our Fathers,
Uh,
the Clint Eastwood fucking Iwo Jima one. So it's like he's in a couple scenes and he's like take shaking hands. But
mm-hmm.
like it's not a part, right? Like it's
No,
not
it's just a walk on.
he's basically like what if Clark it's like a variation on Clark Gregg. It's a variation on Craig
Right.
Wasson.
Exactly.
Like it's like
Character actor guys.
what if what's his face? What if Craig it was Craig Wasson, but it was a fucking Zucker Brothers of this era movie? Like
He
that's
wouldn't.
basically Rash.
His energy wouldn't be nearly.
No, but
Yeah.
well, this is also just sort of weird, right? Because eventually US sitcoms, or not sitcoms, comedies comedies lost their like any absurdity in the
Well,
80s.
there's that, and then Touchstone became a thing.
Right. I mean, it sort of is like a combination of Touchstone's very existence and Shutter Hollywood Pictures vibes.
And then
Um,
comedies eventually became, for a while, they became vehicles for specific people,
yes.
specific actors.
And sometimes it was Sandra Bullock and While You Were Sleeping, and which was Touchstone. It was the perfect combination of things. Um, and but what you had a lot more absurdity in the 70s, right? Because you just didn't have
It was a little looser.
the same
People
kind
weren't
of
uptight about nudity. Mm,
right. You didn't have like I mean, I think what's Caddyshack from 81, 80?
maybe.
Caddyshack is like a turning point in comedies being played straight, right? They still have the jokes about Bill Murray getting hit by lightning in the bag, that big sequence, but it's not like he turns the camera and goes Dabadoo time or some shit, right? Like, but they do have the absurd element with the gopher, but even that was too much by the late 80s and into the 90s and stuff. And it's a Joel Polis from The Thing without a mustache. But
Mm.
they just did a sight gag. He had a beard, so full beard in The Thing. But they just did a sight gag. It's like, what movie are we watching that they do sight gags? There's Dunzia with his plate. It's a sight
Yeah.
gag. These guys are back. It's a sight gag. Why didn't you fucking get John Landis to direct this? murderer, manslaughterer that he is. This is something that Landis could have knocked out of the park. And
This would
if,
have been 2 hours if it were John Landis.
but it might have been good, and it wouldn't have been Dudley
Maybe
Moore. Dude,
it would have looked good.
you know what this is? You
Hmm.
do it real. It's Dan Aykroyd and Eddie's reuniting.
Oh yeah,
You
back
do
to back. This will be
do it.
right after
Yep, you
Trading
do it
Places.
back to back. You have separate movies, but the other one's actually good. Like that's the problem with the Eddie one is like the tank shit cost a lot of money, which is stupid because like it would have been better if he would like had a whole like team building up the team and the team doesn't suck and like he could have a
Hmm.
love interest and we could have a whole little story that culminates in what this will culminate in instead of here
Well,
we've got
this is just shit happening.
well this is like yeah it's like it's a Pink Panther movie too. I mean this is
Uh,
very it doesn't know what it's trying to it's like
it's yeah, it's very much a knockoff Blake Edwards.
it's supposed is it did his shirt just button up on its own. But it's like a farce that was cut into something else, where they cut out enough of the farce, but it's also just bad. Okay, so here the FBI guy is like, look, we fucking know what you did, Dudley Moore, and if you want to get away with it, you've got to help me get David Rash. And we are coming up on an hour. Um, which concerns me because I think the last act is longer than I assumed. And it's really bad because I think I don't know if it's like the reshot stuff. It might actually be the whole dip gyro thing. We'll have to look at Dudley Moore's hair in the last act because maybe the whole thing's new.
Yeah, there's some parts that's shaggier than.
Mm, very weird bit with the door bellhop there. Like, why? We do get this nice sort of
Yeah, look at that.
Christmas in LA before the blue lights of Crystal Lake had gone everywhere in the 80s. So we're getting some very nice nighttime photography.
Well, here it looks real.
Yeah.
It looks like Old Orchard back then.
Okay. But I mean, like, this is all part of the FBI thing, and it's just like not good.
It
It's
feels
just,
thrown in there.
well, just what? Oh, fuck. Speaking of John Landis, just wait till what happens now. I just remembered. You're in for a treat. Well, I mean, also, Eddie. Did Eddie never did a military comedy? It was over by the time
No.
he would have been that desperate. The early 80s also had like the military comedy, which was probably the US government paying movie studios to try to make people
Recruit.
forget about Vietnam and recruit people before their brains fully develop.
So I remember back in the day, there was a ton of fucking Army commercials and Navy.
Yeah.
I used to play them a lot during Soul Train. Army,
Um,
Navy, Air Force, Marines.
okay, so now Dudley Moore's getting mugged, but he thought it was a guy sent by David Rash. Jeff is late. David Rash is late, which makes no sense. Now we have a visiting delegation of South American police chiefs who are going to observe the FBI's operation here. And the FBI is not going to be paying attention to the monitors
Ugh.
because all of this should be on camera.
Right.
So, what are some of the other movies that have the big Midnight Run, uh, big talking through the wire thing? I don't feel like that's a bit anymore.
No, whenever it's a wire, it's usually in something serious. They don't really do it in comedies much anymore.
What's so funny is David Rash is basically just playing a really desperate Rutger Hauer character.
Yeah.
Like this is the shit Rutger Hauer was doing in the early '90s. Only he was playing it straight.
He's playing it straight, yeah.
Oh, come on. Sorry, movie. I'm sorry. Sorry. It's one of those. Sorry, everyone.
It is one of those.
Come on, movie. Please. Please
It's it's just
break
going
the
on and on.
break the laws of reality and move just a little bit faster than you will. Okay, so now we have the South American guys watching Latin American singers, which
Fuck.
seems, you know, there's only, I mean, this is,
Oh god.
this is casually racist for
Uh,
1984.
Jeez.
We're not going to have, there's only one part where I'm like, wow, in a bit toward the end that I'm just like, no, that was a little much. But Eddie said he got paid more than he did for 48 hours and trading places. So,
Yeah, he just got the money.
okay, so now we're still at the hotel that we've been at for a while, everyone. And, oh, everybody watch this. They get shot in the exact same place. And just, we'll get to it. But so they never watched the camera, they never figured out what to do. And lovely. Oh, look at the nice reflections there. You don't get those kinds of reflections if you have big blue floodlights. I'm just gonna say you need the nice reflections there. Um, Dudley Moore trying to. I mean, what's also just weird is that like Dudley Moore, when he's good in something, he tends to have a decent like rapport with his co-stars. Like they have chemistry.
Mm-hmm.
Not in this at all.
Well, because
Like,
it's all on him. It's all on him, this movie. Because he's not getting much support.
well, it doesn't seem like he knows what Rash is doing.
No,
And
they're
from
not
the
on the same
no, and
page at all.
from the direction, it doesn't seem like both of them are doing a lot of like eye gags in medium shots. Like, why are you? Did you think you were in a close up or something? Like, what's yeah?
This is don't just. It's
There are
nonsense.
any good espionage I mean, like, are there any good espionage comedies?
Well, people would say Spies Like Us, but I
That
say different.
that movie becomes an entirely different film halfway through, and it's a really bad
Yeah,
second film.
it ain't this great comedy that people make
Not
it
at
up to be.
all. And then even like the vague what oh shit, was
Poor,
company business serious?
poor Dan Aykroyd.
Yeah. Okay, so here we just see Dudley get shot in the shoulder.
Oh my god.
He just got shot in the shoulder too. They're both laying there with the exact same wound. And I didn't realize that he was supposed to have died and not just passed out.
Yeah, I keep forgetting. I thought they killed him.
They do. He is dead,
Uh,
but they don't establish it very well. And then we get the dream sequence fade, but it's not a dream sequence, even though it would make more sense. Because here we've got Dunzia with his food. We're
ugh.
never going to reference Santa being there. But this is the end of the sort of first sort of timeline, which means that the finale really is 29 minutes and it's so boring. Well, I mean, that's kind of the other thing is it's not like Eddie's in this for very long. Eddie's not in this for
Uh-uh.
a half hour. We should have timed it. Eddie's probably in this for 15, 20 minutes on the outside.
Yeah.
You're cutting this 118-minute fucking dead fish down to 70 minutes, but a lot of what you're going to cut is like work stuff and other stuff, and you've got to instead keep the action sequences, the big beats that you have to keep for the end. And okay. And now Wiley's trying to confess to everyone, and everyone is like, wait, you're a liar? We can't trust a thing you say. But you're a jerk off, Dudley Moore. And that's it. He's never coming home.
Lovable loser.
Right. Like, they should have at least had a line about how he's like, you shouldn't just think I'm smart because of the accent. Like,
Right, he was another Arnold where no matter what part he played, he had a damn accent, even though he was all up in
oh,
America.
Helen
Really?
Shaver and. But, like, look at this farcy shit here. Like,
Eh?
this guy jumping on the fucking
What the
ambulance and
fuck,
shit.
dude?
Yeah. Like, you don't remember this guy? He was at the beginning of
Oh, the guy.
the
Yeah, the
sequence.
little
Yeah,
gopher.
he kicked it off. But that was the first time he ever appeared because he wasn't. So maybe George Dunzia wasn't in the first version or something. Like, but no, I don't think they would have reshot with Eddie. I think they just recut the movie to occasionally echo. But like this shit, this costs money. Why would you bother with this? You could have had something better. Fucking don't
All this is
do.
patchwork.
and hire somebody better to write these scenes. The One of the problems with this whole concept of jumping ahead 2 years with a different character is shouldn't we care what's up with Kate Capshaw of 1984 or something, or that kid who's barely in it? Like,
Maybe. But
it's
remember,
just,
this was a this was a star vehicle. You know, this
yeah,
is
that's true.
Eddie and Dudley's movie. So if one of them's not on the screen, then
That is true.
it's just one of the worst concepts to put the film.
What, well, I mean, we'll go on to have star vehicles where you have basically one person on the radio with another person. But I think some of those worked out better. Um, yeah, I mean, there's just, we could have had a weird, bad Eddie Murphy movie or just a bad Dudley Moore movie. Eddie's not bad in this. Like, he's,
He's not. It's just
it's,
it's tailor made for him to just kind of strut through it though too.
yeah, it's silly and he's not ever funny. I think actually there are like three laughs that I had, three schnortels that I
His
had at
funny
this.
isn't. It's
And
not natural. It's like the type of funny he does just in his sleep type funny. You know.
yeah, okay. So we missed the scene with his. I think Kay Capshaw, is she gone? George Senzi is gone.
Yeah.
Okay, so we still have the army demonstration that's going to happen. Um, shit, did this kill? Oh, maybe it did kill the. When was basic training? What was that? Wasn't that like the
Oh,
last or combat academy?
those were mid 80s. Those were like
Yeah,
85.
before it. But yeah, so the army was not gonna
It was long gone.
do
Cause you know what
anything.
took it up? It was Police Academy movies that sort of took it up and
Yeah,
killed it because they all tried to be Police Academy after a while.
but this was as it was getting stale. Really, you only had Stripes and Private
Yeah, Private
Benjamin.
Benjamin.
And even when they sort of did a follow-up to Private Benjamin with Protocol, that was not a direct, it's not a sequel. And it was like
It flopped
it flopped. So
because Goldie was always every. She tried just about all of those. She was another one that was her own sort of genre. You know what I
yeah.
mean? They were just the '80s. Just were after a while they built these movies around those people.
And I mean on the high end, I mean on the like successful side, you had like Harrison Ford.
Yeah,
You had what I guess you what's weird about that though is then at the sort of you then had like the teen and young adult movies,
Yeah, that
which
became very.
didn't build around those actors, even when like you would think they should have known to do that. Like when Molly Ringwald didn't fall apart because of anything she didn't do. She fell apart because they stopped putting her in movies that she could do, right? Like they treated
And
her
she
like,
got picky too, or at least that's what they say.
okay,
She got really choosy with parts and just decided to, she was handed this, but decided to do that. And then that, like with the Pretty Woman thing, which, eh,
wait, she
I
was up for Pretty Woman?
yeah,
Well, when you, I mean, what was her last John Hughes?
her last John Hughes was, I think, Pretty in Pink.
Which is 85 or
I think
86.
86.
And then that was
He didn't
kind
even
of,
direct that.
yeah, that was like the end of his thing too, because
Because then
Some
he
Kind
did
of Wonderful
Some Kind of
was,
Wonderful, which was a Pretty in Pink remake, just gender flip. And people were just like, fuck John Hughes after that.
and then he wanted to do adult movies anyway. He wanted to get into he wanted to make
Hmm.
Steve Martin movies and John Candy movies. Yeah, those are the guys. I mean, yeah, so maybe, I don't know. No, because they built them around everybody. It wasn't just like the comedy guys.
Yeah, everything had the 80s, the mid to late 80s, pretty much through the 90s. It was the beginning of here's so-called somebody's name before the title
Mhm.
type movies.
And even before you had actors who had production companies and actors who were producing their own stuff, you did have people sort of finding the right lane and staying in that lane, whether it's naturally or whether it's with a publicist. So, okay, so here we are in our just lengthy ass end here.
Ho ho ho.
Okay, so presumably in the other version, this guard should have been in there.
Mm,
They're doing the military test. They're going to trick him by doing it on a different day. Um, Now we find out that we didn't bother seeing the kid when they were changing stuff. Here we're going to this amazing LA location that we don't actually do anything with. Like Kate Capshaw's in like a fucking baby boom movie or something. Like she's doing a fucking
yeah,
bakery movie or something, and it's so dumb. I'd rather watch that movie
she
about her
really
getting rid
tried
of
her
her,
ass off though. She,
her
everything she was in back then, to me, she always seemed like she was trying too hard.
I mean, she hadn't hit.
With the exception of like, I think of all the '80s shit she did, I probably liked her best in Space Camp,
Haven't seen that
despite
in
that goofy
ages.
accent.
Haven't seen that shit in ages. I
Is
forgot
that?
about that. That
Oh
was.
yeah, that's one they keep trying to bury. I haven't seen it either in a long time. But that was her movie, I think, though,
Oh
supposedly.
yeah.
And it's just built around the kids because
Well, because the thing is that Kate Capshaw kind of wanted to do like Sally Fieldish type shit, it seems like
Right.
a
Yeah.
little bit
And thing is, Sally Field was already, the first pick for any of that shit.
any real Sally Field movie had Sally Field in it, right? Like, and so Kate
Mm.
Capshaw was like kind of like the,
TJ Maxx, Sally Field, kind of.
I mean, kind of, but also like,
Because in between some of the bigger movies she did, there was like stuff that she did. Like there was one that they shot in Chicago, which was just some, nothing romantic comedy.
I don't know. I think that the thing with Kate Capshaw is that like she's cursed that her contribution is Willie
Yeah.
Loman or whatever her name is. Like, she's so fucking terrible in that movie. Like, I do not care for that film.
Mm,
Also, how is that not like Everett McGill? Also, because Everett McGill would have shot at Eddie, and that's why they had to replace him.
yeah.
But
It just went off.
oh my god.
Oh, so it's working now.
Yes, we talked through it, but yes, the stolen design works. Um, Dudley Moore, except then Gopher was like, except in this one case it'll break.
Hmm.
And so this highly unlikely case it'll break. That dad is like a teacher from Pump Up the Volume, or that bald guy with the
Mm,
next to the ER nurse. There's Paymer. Um, so yeah, and now Dudley's on his way to show them how he can really fix it, but are they going to listen to him? Meanwhile, in the future, Eddie is having to Eddie's basically in Black Hawk Down or something. I don't
yeah.
know.
Eddie Murphy's back where he doesn't belong this summer.
Yep.
Uh,
But it's just like all the stakes are like chopped up and taped together, so like it
it's
doesn't. There was
at
another
this point,
one.
you'd really have to be stoned if you really wanted to know what was going to happen. It'd
Mike's
have to be
Murder
lifted. Oh,
was another one that was like all cut up and changed around this time. Like I don't know why people thought it would work, but like multiple people thought it was gonna work.
could
And I
you
mean,
imagine a lot of the director's cuts of a lot of 80s movies that just didn't hit?
oh my god. I mean, were they even director's cuts though? Like we can thank Sir Ridley's ego for that
Mm-hmm.
actually becoming something somebody thought to ask, because what the fuck do you care? I mean, Willard Hikes, this is he produced this too, so he cares, but like the dude who directs, I don't know, Robert Mandel. Do you think Robert Mandel really cares how they cut his shit before he has to go on to the next thing. Like, there's like the Joseph Sargent. Well, actually, Joseph Sargent does have the alternate cut. I watched Pelham the other night. Pelham is so fucking good. Pelham is like, oh,
Hmm.
so good. If you haven't seen it in a while, watch it again. It's so fucking good.
Hmm. I have to.
It's so tightly cut. It's 104 minutes.
Hmm.
It's like all heist set up for a half hour, disasterish movie, containment for the rest of it, with just this like Mathau is like a calming presence because all of the other people that work for the subway are like
Mm-hmm.
at best lazy or at worst just complete assholes. And like it's just like the train passengers have a solid enough vibe. There's nothing too cringy. Nobody's like, and it just, I mean, Hector Alonso is a fucking piece of shit, but guess what? It's weird how good is at it. Like when he's playing a psychotic piece of shit, he plays it better than when he's supposed to be likable and stuff. I'm sorry,
Yeah, he
John
never really
Flint or whatever his
he never
fucking
really
name was.
flexed. He never flexed like he should
Nah,
have.
nah.
There's just a certain point where he just said, "I don't give a fuck."
And that was 1971.
I, I'm friends with Gary Marshall.
You'll always have a job, Hector. Oh. But I mean, Gary Marshall movies don't exist anymore either. Like,
Is nor Penny Marshall. They don't. Yeah, none of that shit. They they don't make shit like that. That shit died in the '90s, though.
I mean, because they fucking beat it to death with a stick is why it died.
Those
Like,
those schmaltzy, sentimental. No,
didn't I haven't seen Grand Canyon since 1991, but doesn't Danny Glover turn to the camera and say, does anybody find it weird that you all have like one black friend and then one of you in your adventures meets a black woman and it's the only black woman you've ever met and I'm gonna fall in love with her? Does this seem weird? Like,
Yeah, that's another one. Jeez, Grand Canyon. I ain't seen that so long.
well, all right, bold statement. The Big Chill's not good. Like,
Eh, it's mid.
I mean, okay,
Yeah,
fine, it's mid, but it's
it's
not
mid.
like
It's not.
no,
It's not as great as people claiming for it to be.
no, it's not. It's not a special film. I was gonna watch Secaucus the other night, but it was too long.
Mm,
Gotta do that. But yeah. Okay, so I don't know if something got cut here. Holy shit, you know what fucking movie does this, though they're able to cover for it with like two loops?
mm.
Is Mallrats was another one of these where they chopped out 30 minutes and a
Oh yeah,
subplot.
but a lot of that, see, a lot of the shit they cut out of Kevin Smith movies is a lot of the just the droning, just him
That's
loving his
sort
own
of the
dialogue.
problem, right? Like that's
Yeah.
kind of the problem is like Kevin Smith is incapable of editing himself, and we've seen what happens. Like,
Mhm. Like all of your shit just can't make it into this one, Kevin. Eesh. Yeah.
Firefox. I haven't seen Firefox in a while. Okay, so here we go. He's hitting the button. Will the one thing in this tank that we've covered happening, will it work? God, they spent so much money on that fucking micro photography, people. Like they spent so much money on that because that's probably a motion controlled camera. That was like the budget of, I don't know, Battle from this planet of this beyond the stars or some shit. Oh. Okay, so the one thing he actually built himself is in the tank.
Yeah, this is not, the tension is not built at all.
No. Well, here's the problem. It's 1984 and it's Paramount. You could use some Manfredini in there and just credit him at the end. You got some in the library, like or shit. Who did Top Gun?
Well, that was, gosh, I can hear the theme.
Faltermeyer? Was it
Walter Meyer, there
Faltermeyer
you
for the
go.
whole thing? You get
Yeah,
Faltermeyer to do the music for, but wait, this was before, wasn't this? This was before Beverly Hills
or
Cop,
Beverly Hills Cop. Yeah.
so they didn't know yet. They didn't know that for fucking 2.5 years, Harold Faltermeyer. Well, no, because didn't he do Flashdance or no? No, that
That was
was it?
Marauder.
Yeah, that was
Marauder was
Marauder.
Flashdance. Marauder was the guy. It was Marauder in like Tangerine Dream, and then it became fucking. It was Marauder, Tangerine Dream, and Vangelis for a long time, and then Faltermeyer came in, and Jan Hammer.
Yeah,
But Jan
and
Hammer
Han.
was more of the.
No, he
He did a
was.
lot of Michael Mann shit.
Yeah, he did the TV, and Tangerine Dream started the Michael Mann shit. Okay,
Hmm.
so the end of the movie is Dudley Moore smiling at Helen Shaver, but they're not going to fuck. So I assume in the original version, he and Helen Shaver were having an actual affair,
Mm.
or at least I don't know, like at least had like the threat of it earlier or something, the promise of it earlier. Hey, it's an Eddie Murphy movie. Hey, I'm gonna make a face. Ah!
Yeah. See. Oh,
Okay,
the movie's
folks.
over, Doc.
Only 2 minutes or 3 minutes of end credits, during which we will wrap this up and discuss next week's movie because I cannot handle thinking about this again. Uh, now that I've seen this, I don't have to again. I assumed it was going to be so much fucking better. Like, I didn't think it was going to be a complete piece of crap. Like,
No, I told you it was bad.
well,
It's
right, but
bad.
I thought it was going to be like a little
No,
bit worse than Tank or something, right? Like,
it's almost as bad as this. And since we mentioned Joe Piscopo, there's a Joe Piscopo special where I guess he called in his last two favors to Eddie because Eddie appears in it in a
yeah.
couple of sketches.
Oh my god. Okay.
It both, I think it's on
I
YouTube,
see
but
it. I
both of
see
the
it. Joe Piscopo
sketches are
special.
fucking awful. And you could tell Eddie is just miserable. He's just like, yeah, let me do this shit and get a fuck.
All right, folks. Next week's episode is going to be The Golden Child, directed by Michael Ritchie, who also directed Cops and Robertsons, Digstown, The Couch Trip, Wildcats, Fletch. Okay, so Michael Ritchie is basically Oh, and fucking Smile. Okay, and Downhill Racer, right. Michael Ritchie's basically like as erratic quality wise as John Landis and not a murderer or manslaughterer, sorry. Okay, Golden Child was written by Dennis Feldman, who also wrote, oh God, Real Men, Species,
I'm
Virus.
still trying to figure if Real Men actually is funny.
Hmm, I mean, I don't know if we can do a Jim Belushi season. Um, and just
Mm-mm.
one of the guys. Okay, it's Eddie Murphy, Charles Dance, Charlotte Lewis, Victor Wong, Randall Tex
Randall
Cobb,
Tex Cobb.
and James Hong. And as the golden child, J.L. Rite. And it is
Who
Eddie doing.
actually a little girl and not a boy.
Did you just spoil the movie for me? I've never seen this movie.
No, that's not a spoiler.
Okay, good. But it was Christmas 1986 when that happened, and it was Eddie's. It was not a hit, and that was the first time they counted Eddie out. Oh
Yeah,
God,
because Eddie and supernatural shit just
he must have been so fucking mad between this and Beverly Hills Cop because people must have given him shit, and he must
well,
have seen.
it wasn't very long. I don't think he had much time between.
Also, well, and people weren't really after
It was
Eddie
more,
Murphy at that point. Yeah, like he
yeah.
wasn't
Dudley Moore took the hit more than Eddie did for that.
as he
Especially when
deserves.
Eddie did that SNL where he basically said, "Yeah, I did it for the money. Fuck it."
Which hopefully folks got to hear on this episode, but not if it trips a copyright violation. Zing. All right. So we will be back with the Golden Child. Don't see any Dudley on our future.
No,
Just
not.
just to spoil for you. I don't really think we could string
He's
that
just,
together.
no, he's just not. He used to be so entertaining back in the day. Now you look,
Because the
you
stuff
just
where he is still good. Like, but it's only a
yeah.
couple things. And this
It's
is
not
just
very many.
like,
It's very few out of the many he's made.
yeah. And this is like he's just so unlikable in this one that you just don't want to. Like,
No,
yeah. On that note, folks, um, don't watch Best Defense.
no, it's a passer. You could do a lot worse than to watch Best Defense. Shit, watch Superman 4.
Exactly. Watch Superman 4.
Don't punish yourself. Yeah, that's it with Best Defense. Sorry, y'all. All right, we're out.
Night, everybody.
Done. I'm done.